children as well, so he's got his hands full. And he also lives in the Jersey Shore. Oh, and yes, he knows Snooki as well. So please join me in welcoming Peter as our final speaker before lunch.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, so it's funny. I think everybody remembers the pre-COVID world, and I think a lot of us remember the pre-Jersey Shore world as well, too, within there. So nice to meet all of you. I love this time slot, and I hate this time slot for presentations, just because I get to build off of what everybody set up to it in the first half of the day, and I'm also the one keeping you between lunch. So the goal is to kind of move through the content here. I'm not going to read what's on the slides. The goal is to kind of have those in the backdrop, speak to them. But I want to really talk about a topic that I'm passionate about because I love our industry, right? I love what we do. I love how we support patients. We take a bad rap because of how we do what we do, quite honestly, in what is at this point. And yes, I don't think we should run away from the topic that we are a for-profit industry, right, which I think everybody forgets in that conversation. But we can do both, right? We can service our customers. We can help our patients. We can provide critical life-saving opportunities, and we can monetize that at the same time. And I think that's a big part of the discussion when we're talking about empowering our tools so that we're empowering the patients that work through those as well, too. I'm going backwards. I'm using a laser. I'm advancing. Play by play. I love quotes. I particularly love quotes when they're connecting universes that you may not think that there's a connectivity within that. So I found a great quote a while ago from E.O. Wilson. And for those of you who don't know him, he's a naturalist, a biologist I should say, passed away a number of years ago within there. But truly interesting books. One of them is called, granted a little bit arrogant within there, the reason for human existence, right? That's not daunting at all. But a quote from him is, "We are drowning in information. While starving for wisdom, the world henceforth will be run by synthesizers, people able to put together the right information at the right time, think critically about it, and make important choices wisely." This quote was pre-digital information age when it came across, right? But I think it resonates with where we are in the universe now because we have to make sure that we're providing avenues to be able to inform patient synthesizers within that. Our patients are more savvy now than they've ever been because of the amount of information that comes into there. And we have to be able to provide them with the resource so that they can navigate their own journey, not just the journey that we as pharma want them to have, right? I think we lose sight of the fact that, especially when we're talking technology, innovation, marketing concepts, we are in a space with providing our customers what they need. We want to take a lot of things into how we're doing that from industries that present what customers want. We are presenting what they need to live, what they need to better themselves, what they need to survive. And though we can leverage a lot of these conversations, we have to be keeping that first and foremost because we're building out the digital journey, the patient journey, to support them in a universe of need, not necessarily want. And that means we have to meet them where they're at and going through. And this starts across with how the journey cycle begins within there. Technology is great when it comes to our space because we are very much a Me Too industry in everything that we do, right? We start to leverage the Google, then we leverage the AI and everything that's going across within there. We have these topics that go in within there, but it's at the end of the day, it's making sure that we're managing and supporting our customers within their true journey. And a lot of the time, that journey is going to happen when their HCP is not available, when their support area is not available within that. Without a true resource to guide them, we have to be able to support them in terms of how we're delivering our content, our messaging, and the support avenues when we're talking about benefiting them in their journey, in their universe, not solely benefiting us in monetizing how we're structuring those journeys for them. Right? So the bigger part of it is it's not just that we have to or we want to or we need to present information to help support their journey. We're providing them a level of information within most senses is very overloading to them. right? They're not able to ingest it. They're not able to digest it. They're not able to take that across and help structure what is, because we're living in a universe where we want to inundate them with everything, right? Where are they showing up? Where do they live? How can we meet them? Keep the customer at center. We're keeping the customer at center as long as that center represents tactics that we can blanket them with across the board to navigate our journey as organizations, not their journey as patients. So ideally, everything that we have to structure needs to be a framework of making sure that it is building trust, it's providing them where they are. Yes, it's keeping customer at center, but it's allowing them to navigate their journey and allowing us to optimize what that journey is as we go across. I will backpedal all the way to say the statements presented in this content do not represent any information approved or defined by Boehringer Ingelheim itself. So I can now move forward and legally be compliant within that. So I should have started the conversation off with that. All of the individuals who presented beforehand, again, I said I love this spot because the amount of insights that we're getting from these industry giants is great within there. But I think there's a common theme, right? Our optimization channels up to this point have fallen short in terms of that because we've moved through cycles within our industry, again, as Me Too. We started with personal delivery, right? Sales reps. Sales reps will never go away. Reps are always there, reps are always there. Then we move into sales reps with non-personal communication bolted on top of that. To MCM, we got a blanket, multi-channel marketing that goes across. We then cascade into omni-channel, right? Omni-channel, I think the phrase was used, omni-channel has been a buzzword for 10 years. Have we ever really delivered anything substantial when it comes to omni-channel because we are not building out integrated structures from either people, processes, or platforms that support that within there, right? Omnichannel is amazing. Omnichannel is not amazing when it's as many tactics as we can possibly deliver to as many people all at once, as long as it's driving our conversation with the content that we love, because pharma loves our content. Our content is so amazing. Everyone wants to see our content. Everyone wants to read it. They want to pass it on to other people. They want to tell their doctors about it. It's that fascinating. So I think we need to start stepping back a little bit and saying, where have we fallen short in what we're delivering and how we're supporting the customers in there? Because it's not just omni-channel, it's experience optimization moving forward, and it's orchestration that goes into that. And yes, I'll touch on the AI as we move forward within there, right? Because at the core of what I do, I am a technologist. I am in digital within my space. But I do think there are opportunities for us to be bridging the gaps between what we're delivering in the patient universe, the HCP universe, the payer universe, right, and the corporate universe within all of that. And the problem, I think, when we're talking about omnichannel up to this point is we've been operating omnichannel within our individual silos when we go in there, right? You have patient omnichannel, you have HCP omnichannel, you have payer omnichannel, you have market access omnichannel, you have corporate omnichannel, you have celebrity omnichannel, you have all of these different things that go in there, right? Talking back the influencer end of what goes into it. But we're not connecting any of these, either through our foundation or through our data or through our framework or through our approaches within that. When we want to be looking at it, it has to be a truly coordinated effort in looking at all of these different aspects of the universe that support and benefit the patient within there. And then we have to structure that within an optimization loop. So it brings it back into, right? What does our data look like? How are we capturing it? How are we engaging? How are we bringing it back into a very defined ecosystem that we've all built out, right? Because we all love our MarTech stacks. Our MarTech stacks are the most integrated MarTech stack in the universe because our data has to be part of what that is, right? So that's not a knock on it, but the problem is we've built out such robust systems within our environments that we don't know how to optimize it quickly as we go across within there. We don't know how to bring the individual touch or tactic for a patient back in the fold and say, hey, maybe this worked, maybe it didn't work. That is the opportunity for AI moving forward, but it's only going to be an opportunity if we build out the correct framework moving forward within that. Leading into the point from omni-channel to orchestrated experience within there, right? Omni-channel, again, when it's done right, it's that secret sauce, right? It's how the soup is made within the conversation. The problem is with how that soup is made is most of the time we're looking at depth, we're looking at breadth, we're looking at impact of tactics. We're not looking at meeting the customer where they're at and then being able to optimize as it moves forward, because we have not structured this either through our MLR processes, right? It takes 3 to 6 months to get content through within there. We live in an age where 3 to 6 months is a millennia for millennials, right? Where it goes across in there who happen to be a particular topics within certain area, right? I love the discussion. I'll say, well, we're marketing to older generations, right? As if young people don't get sick too, right? It's only older generations that get in there, right? They're not digitally savvy. Well, they are digitally savvy. Everyone's digitally savvy, because it is not just something to say, hey, I have this new smartphone, right? Which my mom says, I have this new smartphone. Okay. It's not that smart, Mom, if you don't know how to use it. But it has to be as an aspect of how are we orchestrating these touches as we go across within there, right? And why omnichannel is not the goal is because omnichannel has to be representative of a lot of different things. There's limitations in omnichannel because omnichannel has been siloed in what it's at. We look at tactics, we look at audiences, we do not look at connected universe, right? Orchestration will be the biggest word that I'm using in any part of my presentation right now, because it's the key to everything. But orchestration does not necessarily mean the orchestration of the delivered tactics within there. Orchestration represents the strategy in terms of how is your stack being built out? How is your stack being connected? Orchestration represents the strategy in terms of the approach as to how you want to show up for your customers. Orchestration is how do we want to be pulling that information into our data strategy as an organization? Because pharma is the song of Gunga Din, right? Data everywhere, but not a drop to drink. We have no idea how to use our data in terms of where it's at because we're just pulling data from everywhere. We have dashboards, and we have data, and we have insights, and we have everybody's using Tableau, and everybody's using Viva, and everybody's using Google Analytics, and everybody's using everything within there. If we're using everything all at the same time, then we're using nothing that's driving a unified vision of what that looks like. And yes, we know there are providers, some of them are here, that say we can unify your data as it comes across within there. If anybody can truly unify our data across before, and one of the panelists said within there, when I show you, somebody who shows me 100% unification of data or 100% accuracy on data is selling something. It does not exist. So what we need to be doing is structuring that across so that it represents the best of our ability, orchestrated experiences that can be optimized as they come across within there. And that represents the feedback loop as it's coming in there, right? It's eliminating redundancy. It's eliminating fatigue. Most of the time in a large pharma corporation, we are competing against ourselves, right? We don't understand how our brands are showing up in a therapeutic area, so we're blanketing messages to HCPs and patients at the same time. They don't even know that they're the same brands from the same organization within there, right? We have to start approaching these things to represent that just because we can do something doesn't mean we should be doing something. We have to have a more measured approach, and that's where the orchestration comes into aspect of what that is, and a methodology that builds trust for our customers, right? I started this discussion by saying, I love our industry. I absolutely love it. I love everything about it. I get offended when people talk about how bad our industry is within there, because I'm sure there's millions and millions and millions of people out there who are not offended by our industry because they get to have a conversation the next day about how they're feeling when maybe years ago they couldn't have that conversation. I worked for Novo for a really long time, and part of, obviously, we know their songs and their jingles in there, and they're really catchy and great within there. But the foundation of that organization was really based on the fact that diabetes was a death sentence for people. Diabetes is not a death sentence anymore, and our industry did that. So we should not take offense to what we're saying when we're structuring these programs. We're allowed to monetize things, but at the same time, we're not allowed to oversaturate what we think is wonderful for our customers just because it benefits our industry at the end of the day. That's where we have to find a balance of structuring what we're doing, and orchestration can do that and be the level set that ties across between human-centered and, as we move forward, the AI approach that's going into that. Moments, not campaigns, right? There were a lot of great speakers today who were talking about unique opportunities and how to engage customers within there. That's what we have to be focusing about within there, right? Where I will say there are better opportunities across within there, and again, we know that we can't do what everybody else does when it comes to messaging and content and tactics within there, but what we can do a better job of is making moments stand out for our patients, right? Because when we're talking about patients, I said it before, we're in a dynamic space of need versus want. Sometimes moments are what they have. And we have to opportunize those moments as we're structuring these campaigns and these programs across. And that's where orchestration and where AI will take us moving forward, is to be able to really make those moments stick and have those moments be transcendental to drive the conversations with how our products can support their life cycle moving forward. This is redundant. So what orchestration feels like within there, right? And we said it should be seamless. And some people were talking about tailored experiences, right? It should not feel like it is an inundation of the same topics coming across because we don't understand what a patient's journey is. We have the data. We have to start opportunizing the data so that we understand what that patient journey is and we make it feel truly seamless. Again, we love buzzwords in our industry: tailored experience, seamless integration, right? Opportunity engagements across within. But none of those are practical applications when it comes to actually engaging a person who is going through possibly the worst aspect of their life ever, either then or in the future. It should feel seamless because it should just feel like something that's there to help them, not something that's there to drive our conversation through the funnel of information to say, well, we've identified them in the pre-RX phase, and we're going to pull them through the post-RX phase, because patients don't think like that. We shouldn't be communicating like that when we work with them, and we shouldn't be building our orchestration tactics to feel like that. They should be seamless. That is the biggest takeaway in terms of what orchestration should represent. Not omni-channel, but orchestration for impact. There's the AI, right? People have been talking about it up to this point. It is the looming aspect in the room. I think it is a bigger looming aspect in perception than reality, particularly in our industry at this point. The one time that I feel like our industry doesn't have to do a Me Too and keep up with other industries is with AI. We have the opportunity to be more measured in what we're doing because we have these big foundations that we've built up to this point. We should not just be bolting on AI capabilities because there's something that can do this to someone we haven't been able to structure this for because we're able to do it cheaper. It's not cheaper, by the way, in most instances, not cheaper at all when it goes into that, right? Especially when we start talking about proprietary LLMs and what goes into licensing that long term and the replication of a human body versus the replacement of a human body. These are all the things that will start to come through the discussion as we move forward. Again, I'm a technologist, and innovation is how I pay my mortgage, right? But it should not be that we're driving towards an innovation that removes the human-centered aspect of what we're doing and doesn't base off of what our data is telling us about these structures of how we should be engaging our patients within there. AI is a game changer. Anyone who tells you it's not doesn't know what they're talking about, they're lying, or they just don't want Skynet to take us over, right? So AI is going to be is the game changer within there too. Within our industry, we have the opportunity to be more responsible, more measured, and more impactful as to how we're using AI to enable these discussions across the board. And we should be asking ourselves at the end of the day, what does AI do for us to support that orchestration layer, right? Is it improving time to market? Is it providing tailored customer experiences within there? Is it allowing for truly seamless integration from a systemic standpoint? Is it allowing our data to truly drive insights that are actionable and not just aha moments that go nowhere when we're talking about how we want to be updating our campaigns to support our patients within there, right? Orchestration then builds experience, and the experience layer and how our patients are experiencing that is going to be as critical as anything across the board when we're talking about the connectivity of that within there. And that's where AI has that, right? We can be super measured in terms of what we want to be doing with the legal, regulatory, and compliance aspect and privacy. I won't forget that for any of the privacy people in the room, right? Because that's going to be the bigger discussion within there. But at the end of the day, the experience should replicate and resonate what the individuals are going through, right? I particularly like the discussion when we were talking about AI influencers and what goes into that, right? Again, we're in a need industry, and we're talking about things that are super personal and super critical to everybody. We cannot lose sight of the human-centered approach when it comes to what AI is going to represent in there. It should be an efficiency play. It should be an impact play. It should be a cost play, even though it's not yet. And then we take the aspects of that, and that's how we're building out the experience layer and the orchestration layer to support our patients within a true end-to-end journey. And at the end of the day, they're going to remember. They're going to take it in, and they're going to hold that to them within there, because it is the most critical aspect of what some people's day-to-day looks like every single day. Digital ecosystems, right? Ecosystem, ecosystem, ecosystem. I say ecosystem 47 times a day. Jasmine, who's on my team, is here, probably has a counter of how many times I say ecosystems within there, right? But it is a huge aspect of that, because that is the foundation of everything that's predicated on that. How are we integrating our platforms? How are we integrating our systems? Coming into lunch, I'm going to keep looking at my watch here, right? How are we making sure that what we're building out systemically supports the connectivity of not just orchestration, but true omni-channel engagement within there, right? Because our MarTech stacks are robust, but I don't know that when we're looking at large organizations that they account for them to be as agile, as nimble, and as agnostic across different touches that they need to be to allow AI to be working within there, right? I was joking about Skynet earlier, right? Salesforce is Skynet. I'm sorry, they're Skynet, they are. But in what they're doing and what they've done well is that they've supported customers in the space in building out the orchestration layer, because an orchestration layer within your ecosystem allows those touches to come across and be able to be synthesized. Again, not different than how patients are synthesizing, but how are we synthesizing the data? Say that a bunch of times fast. How are we synthesizing the data to make sure it's truly impactful so that we can build out those campaigns? Right? Outcomes and actions and the path forward. This is not a guide to say we should be doing this. This is an overarching framework, and in theory, what we should be looking at this point, right? We should be walking through and making sure that we're creating trust, that we're improving clinical decisions, there's efficiency and growth in what we're structuring and how we're building this, and that it's about constant performance improvement. We should constantly be looking at ourselves. The statement before that we were talking about, nobody owes you anything, right? Well, we don't owe anything in terms of what comes into us from our successes of our campaigns. It is a constant optimization loop, because our patients need us to be better at what we're doing. It's lunchtime. Thank you all. Appreciate the time up here.
Great. Thank you, Peter.
Hi, thank you, Peter. I mostly wanted to speak so that way I would be the buffer between everyone and lunch, not you.
Yeah, hate him, not me. There we go.
I did have a question regarding qualitative and quantitative data. I feel like a lot of the times when we have qualitative data that really supports the patient or HCP side, and then the quantitative data supports the brand or company side, we tend to go with the qualitative data, not the quantitative data. What do you, or how do you think we can kind of bridge that gap to make sure we're obviously looking for our best interests as companies and that are for profit, but also not ignoring what the patients and the HCPs are saying?
Yep. Data's great. Data is particularly great because data can tell any story that you want it to be, whether it's qual or quant within there, right? So what I would say within that, the discussion specific to data is who's telling the story and why, and what is the derived action from that data. Because in some instances, right, it may very well be the qual aspect of that should be driving what the decision outpoints are. In others, it should be the quant, right? I would argue, and I think anyone who has data specialties in their background would say a strong comparison between each of them and a strong collaboration between each of them is critical for defined outcomes within there. But I think it goes back to your strategy discussion within there. Most of anything we're doing up front does not have a defined strategy plan associated. Most organizations don't have a strategy plan, an overarching strategy plan that goes in. They have strategy plans and strategy governance for data, and they have tactical discussions and KPIs and outputs and benchmarks and all these different things. But what is the organizational data strategy from top down as to where you want to be moving the needle, where do you want to show up? And there is value in quant, there is value in qual, but what do you want the outcome to be? And at the end of the day, who's telling the story?
Got it. Any more questions, comments for Peter before we hit lunch? No? All right, wonderful. Thank you much. Thank you very much, Peter. Thank you. Right, and yeah, just real quick, if Justin's able to do so, we'll keep the QR code up there. I know Rich is building out a kind of a final discussion panel session for the end as well. So if you haven't had a chance, share your 2 cents via that QR code there, and we'll obviously get to as much of that as we can at the end. Lunch today is actually just right outside, so head out the doors. It's in the foyer area there. We're due to reconvene at 2 p.m. If we can get an earlier start on that, we'll definitely do so. So we're definitely making good time there. Obviously, our next session is 2 p.m. start, but if we're ready to go earlier and everybody's good for it, we will proceed accordingly. So we'll see you back shortly, and obviously, like I said, share your 2 cents while you get the chance. We'll leave that up over lunch, and we'll see you shortly.